Un applauso ai nostri corti che troverete tutti sul web tra pochissimo. Per parlare di social media e social network e tutte le implicazioni nel nostro mondo del travel, abbiamo richiamato un amico che era già stato con noi 2 anni fa, e invito sul palco Daniel Edward Craig. There's a lot of people here that when we announce David Craig, you know how it's not 007. I'm sorry for the female. It's not him.
You think you're disappointed? How do you think I feel? The only thing we have in common is the name, sadly.
Okay, the stage is all yours.
Okay, thanks so much, Giancarlo. Now, I've been speaking about social media and particularly reputation management for years now. And nobody really was listening to me for the longest time. But Giancarlo was one of the first, actually, to take me seriously and invited me to speak here 2 years ago. And so I'm very happy to be back. And this is just a fantastic conference. I'm just so impressed with the quality of the speakers and the attitude of the attendees. So bravo, Giancarlo. And we really want you to create something like this in Canada. So we'll import you for that. Now, I want to start off my presentation by sharing a review from you. I'm a hotelier first, and I've worked in hotels for many years. And when I was a general manager of a hotel in Vancouver, this review was posted to TripAdvisor. And it's entitled, Nice Hotel, Shame About the James Bond GM. And it goes on to came to see HIP Vancouver to reward a few colleagues in the fund, booked a chic little boutique hotel called Opus Vancouver. The GM, who thought he was Ian Fleming, was a real detriment to a great trip. Shame, let's hope the hotel sees sense and releases Daniel to make another movie. Liked cool location, disliked general manager Daniel. Nice. So I think this is when I really understood how dramatically the travel industry had changed. And when that review was posted, it's kind of funny, but it was also kind of offensive. And I couldn't remember any interaction with a guest that would incite that type of review. And I thought maybe it was a disgruntled former employee or a competitor. And so I called my director of operations and I said, you call TripAdvisor and you tell them that's a personal attack and they need to remove it. And I don't know how many people here have tried to dispute a review with TripAdvisor. Do you have any success? Not really, yeah. Well, so they refused. They took the position, the guest is entitled to his opinion. And so yeah, that's when I really thought, wow. Things have changed, and and travelers, consumers, are so empowered. And they can write reviews, and they can say whatever they want. And it can be true, or it can be untrue. And other travelers are making decisions on their advice. So we kind of feel powerless and helpless. But are we? Now, fortunately, the owners of the hotel didn't take that person's advice and let me go, but I did actually leave. This was November 2007. I left the hotel shortly after, and I opened up my own consulting business, Renown, and I now specialize in social media strategy and online reputation management, and I go all over North America and Europe talking about reputation management, and everywhere people have similar concerns, similar challenges. And actually, one of my clients, ironically, is TripAdvisor, and I speak at their master classes across North America. And we have a great relationship, but I still can't get them to take down that review. So today, social media is everywhere. People are tweeting while waiting in line. They are checking into hotels, writing a review in their room. They're taking pictures of themselves everywhere, even in the bathroom. And this is interesting in restaurants. server can come by and say, how's everything? And the couple says, oh, fine. Server goes away, they get out their phone, and they write something nasty on a social network. So again, we kind of feel helpless, but my whole company is based on saying, no, we actually have a lot of control and a great deal of influence about what's said about us online. And we really need to manage our reputation through social networks. Now, I want to share with you a review here from Yelp, which is a review site, very popular in North America. And it's a one-star review. Wow, this is the crappiest place on earth. I've been here twice, and I would like to say the accommodations were dirty, dingy, and downright disgusting. Okay, so kind of a bad review, right? And so let's look at a review just below it. I had a delightful time. The industrial vibe of the accommodations combined with a summer camp atmosphere among the guests somehow managed to be both sophisticated and good old-fashioned fun. 4-star. So the assumption here is this is a type of accommodation we're reviewing. And yes, it is, but actually it's a prison in Dallas. And so you can review prisons now, as if you have any choice when you're going to jail about where to go. But what I think is interesting is this prison has a 2-star rating. It's a lot better than a lot of hotels out there. And I love this last comment here. You're not supposed to like it, you idiots. Now, all this chatter can be very distracting and time-consuming. And it reminds me of a quote from John Wanamaker, who is considered like the pioneer of marketing. And back in the 1920s, he said, you know, half the money I spend in advertising is wasted. The trouble is, I don't know which half. Now, things are very similar in social media, but I think the wasted part is even much larger. Now, the travel industry has embraced Twitter and Facebook. We're sending multiple tweets a day, Facebook updates, Pinterest, Instagram, all this stuff. But how much of it is actually contributing to the bottom line? So how do we get to the point where the majority of our time on social networks is actually productive? So I want to focus on some strategies for doing that. And I think, you know, most of us know the basics of online reputation management and social media: claiming your space, updating the content, monitoring, responding to reviews, and acting on feedback. Today, I want to focus on we're going to assume you've got all that taken care of. How do you bring things to the next level? And what's going on in the travel industry that you need to know about because it's going to be important to your business now and in the future. So first of all, we want to set objectives. What are we trying to accomplish in social media? And every business is going to have a bit of a different approach, but to me, primarily, the areas I want to focus on for social media: building awareness, driving higher guest satisfaction, and ultimately driving revenue. Now, in order to do this, we need to put things into perspective, and there's a lot of hype in social media, and I think we really need to be skeptical and jealous of our time, because it's really hard to measure results. But it has changed traveler behavior in 3 ways that we really need to understand in the tourism business. First of all, how they research trips. Traditionally, you're looking for price and location. Those are 2 of the most important factors. More and more people won't make a decision until they know about the reputation, and that's largely defined by reviews. How travelers communicate with businesses. Social media has evolved into an important customer service tool. And so we're in the service industry, we cannot ignore it. And then finally, how they share experiences. More and more people are using social networks to talk about where they are and what they're doing before, during, and after trips. Now, you're probably familiar with this table. It's a Nielsen survey, and they surveyed 28,000 people in 58 countries on sources of advertising that they trust. And right at the top recommendations from people I know, 92% trust factor. And then just below that, consumer opinions posted online at 70%. More than any other type of advertising, websites, emails, any type of magazine, newspaper advertising. And so social media has really simply provided platforms that facilitate the process of reaching the people that we trust most when we're making decisions, other people. And so to really be successful today in the age of social media, we need to shift more of our resources from traditional areas toward those top two areas, getting people talking about and recommending our brand. So one of these strategies is to integrate content. And there are really three types of content online. Paid content, and this is like display ads, cost per click, online travel agency listings. And we have high control over the messaging in paid advertising, but it has low influence on consumers because they know it's coming from a marketer. So as we know from that Nielsen survey, the trust is lower. And then we have owned content. So this will be our brand website, our Facebook page, maybe our Twitter feed. And again, we control that messaging, so high control, but low influence because it's coming from marketers. So the third type is earned content. That's what other people say about our brand, about our destination. Also called user-generated content, reviews, photos, videos, blog posts, media coverage, any type of social endorsement. And we don't have as much control over this content, but it has a very high influence on consumer opinions. So in social media, we really focus on the earned content because it's more powerful, and plus, most of it is free. It's really just time we're putting into it, as well as taking control of owned. But more and more, to be really effective, you have to integrate all three types of content into your marketing. So let me show you an example of that. So on Google, I search hotels in Florence, and here are the results. And I know that you can't really see this from the back, but I'll walk you through it. So where on this page is the paid content? If I'm a hotel in Florence and I want to appear on this page, where would I have to pay for it? Guys in the front. On this page, left up here, on the left, and then on the right. Right. So paid content. All this here, including that, this is Google Hotel Finder that Google just slapped right at the top of those results. And then on the right. So a lot of paid content. And then where would the earned content, what other people are saying about hotels in Florence? Right there, TripAdvisor. Okay, so that's the earned content. And the owned content, sorry, there's some more earned content here. Google's integrating that earned content right into search results. I'll talk more about that in just a moment. And then finally, owned content, that little tiny link, that one website to the hotel above the line. And a lot of people won't even go below that in a search. We're kind of lazy online. And so if we really want to maximize our visibility, we have to play with all types of content, earned, owned, and paid. It's not enough anymore just to have a website. We need to have an active presence on earned and paid channels. I'll show you another example of that. So here's Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts, their Facebook page. And so they've posted an update about a contest that they're holding and where you can win a big prize. And so on this page, have a look at it and what is owned, earned, paid content. So the page itself and the post is Four Seasons' own content. They control the messaging. And then when people like the page, talk about the page, comment on the post, share it, it's earned content. Other people are doing the work for them, helping them to spread the news. And then if the Four Seasons wants to amplify it by buying advertising, that would appear up there. So more and more people, you're seeing an integrated approach to really amplify and maximize your visibility and your reach. So things used to be a lot simpler back when Google was mostly about search and TripAdvisor was mostly about reviews and Facebook was social. But things are changing, and now Google's getting more and more involved in reviews. They're involved in social with Google+, and TripAdvisor now has meta search and has social, which we'll look at in a moment, and then Facebook has a search engine now, and it's involved in reviews as well. So this can be very confusing and distracting. Where do you spend your time? And each of these, the big three in social travel, they want to be that one-stop shop for travelers, where travelers can find all the information they need to plan a trip. But in the meantime, they're kind of moving away from their core business and trying to be all things to all people. And we all know that that's a dangerous move for the long-term sustainability of a company. And they're trying to help travelers, but it's getting kind of confusing. And not only confusing for travelers, but for marketers. So another strategy here is we want to prioritize. And to me, there are two types of social media. There's social networks like Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. And then there's review sites. And the really important part is the reviews, because people go to Facebook to socialize. They go to TripAdvisor to shop. So they're in a completely different frame of mind. It doesn't mean TripAdvisor, it doesn't mean Facebook and Twitter aren't important, but when you're prioritizing your time, you don't have that much time, reviews need to be the #1 priority. Because we know that reviews drive revenue, and we've seen the Cornell research that really confirms what we see every day, that there's a direct relationship between reviews and revenue. So Cornell used ReviewPro data, their global review index, to find that a 1% increase in a total review score across review sites led to an average for all categories of hotels of a 1% increase in RevPAR. And another part of that research is interesting because it deals with OTAs. And with hoteliers, especially on OTAs, we obsess over our rates and our positioning, but we don't pay enough attention to reviews. And travelers are really paying attention to reviews on those sites. And so this part found that a 1% increase in your Travelocity score led to, you could increase your rate by 11.2% without affecting demand. Now, the next generation of revenue managers is using review data to make better revenue decisions. And the reason this is possible is because reviews are public and they're measurable. So you can actually get your review score from companies like TrustYou and ReviewPro, and you can compare it to your competitors, something we haven't been able to do. And you can measure your market share of guest satisfaction much like your market share of rate, occupancy, and RevPAR. So ReviewPro has this amazing new tool called the Revenue Optimizer. And here you can compare your market share of guest satisfaction with your rate index from data from STR. And so if you're in the blue area, you know that your guest satisfaction index is higher relative to your competitors, but your rate is lower. So that indicates an opportunity to drive a higher rate. Okay, so Google now, we talked about how it's getting involved in reviews. And here is that search of hotels in Florence if I scroll down a bit. And these are the organic listings. And so you have a few hotels listed here, but one of them has a rating in gold with a bunch of stars, but the others don't. Why? What's the difference? Does anybody know? How do you get your star rating in Google search results? I think I heard it back there. You need a minimum of 5 reviews. Once you get 5 reviews, your star rating and stars is integrated, not into search, it's integrated in Hotel Finder, Maps. Google's integrating reviews into many of its products. And so it's really hard to ignore Google reviews. We obsess over TripAdvisor, but these are important. However, they've got a long way to go. So if I click on that, the Google reviews, I get this window here. And it shows the reviews. And they're really actually not that helpful. They're the ones, 2 of them are 2 years old. One of them's in, I don't know, Japanese. Travelers, this is not going to help a traveler. Okay, they want more current reviews, more volume. So we need more reviews and we need them more current. But how do we do that on Google? Because it's really hard to get reviews on Google. Much easier on TripAdvisor. Well, one of the ways we could do that, we'll go back to that page, and if you look at the 3rd hotel down, the Hotel Loris Al Duomo, you can see it's got a bit more real estate because they've got a Google Plus page, and none of the other properties do. And so if you click that, you come to their Google Plus page. And we all know Reputation 101 is to find your Google local listing and claim it and update it. Well, if you have done that and you want to do more, now you can create a Google Plus page, which is kind of like a Facebook page, but different. The next big thing you need to do, if you haven't done that already, is merge these 2 pages. Because this is what happens when you do that. You'll get 4 of these tabs on your page. The first one is About. It's like your Places page. You've got a map, rates and availability, reviews, photos. The next one over, Posts. If they click that, it takes them to the Google Plus page. So they can actually interact with you like they do on Facebook. And then the third one's Photos. And then the 4th tab is Videos. You can actually connect your YouTube account with this account. And so what it creates is this hub, this central place where travelers can find all sorts of information about you as well as interact with you through Google+, all in one place. And many avenues on Google lead to this page. Okay, so moving on to TripAdvisor. Now, TripAdvisor's involved in social, but I think they've been really smart about this. Rather than trying to create their own social network, they've just partnered with Facebook. And it can change search results. So when I was planning my trip to Florence here, I wanted to know what I was going to do with my free time. And the first thing that came up was the Uffizi Gallery. But if you look closely at that, you'll see that the Uffizi is actually ranked on the popularity index, number 19 of 200 attractions. So typically, that wouldn't even come up in search. Why is it number 1? Because I've connected my TripAdvisor with Facebook. And over 32 million people in the world have done this. And what it looks at is my Facebook friend activity. And so you can see that some of my friends have checked in, they've reviewed it, friends of friends have reviewed it, and that's catapulted that listing right to the top. So now, another way of climbing up and increasing your visibility on TripAdvisor, it's not just about reviews, it's about Facebook activity as well. So let's look at Facebook. Now, Facebook wants to be Google. They launched Graph Search, a search engine, but a very powerful search engine because it's a search engine for just your friend network. So again, when I was planning my trip, I could type right into that, my friends who have been to Florence. And then it tells me which of my friends have been to Florence. And clearly, only my cool friends have been to Florence. And including, yes, I'm friends with an ostrich, it seems. And so that's going to have a much more powerful impact on my decisions because I know these people. So when we look at Facebook and reviews, I don't know if you noticed this, but recently Facebook suddenly added star ratings to its pages. They just appeared there. And you don't control over that content because it's user-generated content. And so how do you review? Your guests now have, if you haven't seen it, not every business has it, but they're rolling it out, a little review widget so they can review you right from that page and give you a rating. So now on Facebook, I think Facebook's evolving actually as kind of an important marketing channel. And I've never taken it that seriously as a marketing channel, but they're desperately trying to, turn it into one. Not a distribution channel, but a marketing channel. So now on Facebook, not only do we have to encourage our guests to like our page and to share our content and to tag photos, but now we need them to review us as well. Now, we can't let all this social media stuff distract us from what remains the most important means of promoting our business online, our website. But our website has to evolve and become a living, breathing entity. And you do that by integrating social media within it. And this is an example from the Salamander Hotel Resort and Spa. And they've got a social lounge page, which is actually brilliant. They've integrated content from Pinterest, from Twitter, from Facebook, YouTube videos, and you can actually view all this stuff without leaving their website. And then, of course, there's the TripAdvisor review widget. And you're seeing this more and more because, of course, people know they want to check out reviews before they make decisions. But what's really interesting is a lot of hotels that have bad reviews and bad ratings, even with that widget on their website, it's increased conversion. Because, why? Because travelers, they don't expect perfection. They want the best they can for the money they've got, and they want to know the worst case scenario. All right, so speaking of websites, we want to be transparent. Things have changed. We have to be honest in the information we provide. And I want to show you a great example of this. The Library Hotel Collection in New York is now legendary when it comes to online reputation management. 4 little boutique hotels in New York that dominate the charts on TripAdvisor. At times, they occupy the first, second, third, and fourth places on the TripAdvisor Popularity Index, and they're not lavish luxury hotels. They're just really good at what they do. And they're really honest in their marketing, sometimes brutally so. So one of their hotels, Casablanca, has a room type, and they call it the classic petite room. So okay, petite, small. And then you've got a description here, and it says the cozy classic is the smallest room option in the Casablanca. These rooms do not offer a view, and they are not recommended for couples on long stays. It's almost like they're trying to convince you not to book the room. And then if that's not clear enough, they have a picture showing that there's no view. And then right below it, it says a caption, "No view for the cozy classic petite rooms." My, how hotel marketing has changed. It used to be about overselling, under-delivering. Now it's about underselling and over-delivering. And tactics like this are what generates a massive amount of positive reviews for this hotel and this group, because they're constantly managing expectations and then exceeding them. And speaking of expectations, people arrive at the doors of our business and they have certain expectations. And the gap between what they expect and what they get, that's where reviews are incubated: the good, the bad, the ugly. And so if it on your website it says modern luxury, when they arrive, they're going to expect modern luxury, and if they don't get it, you're going to hear about it. As an example, about a year ago, I switched from a PC to a Mac. And I did it from peer pressure. All my friends and people I work with, said, oh my God, you still use a PC? How 1990s? And they raved about these Macs, and they sounded like such wonderful machines, and I thought, well, maybe it'll do my work for me. And so I bought a Mac. And I tell you, it has not been a smooth transition. And I've had a lot of problems with my Mac. And when I go to the Mac store to get it fixed, now there's a Mac store here in Florence. What's the name of the technical support area? The Genius Bar. The Genius Bar. How audacious, particularly in Italy, land of Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, they're calling their 21-year-old tech support people geniuses. So when I arrived there, and a group of these 21-year-old geniuses are gathered around my computer, scratching their head because they can't figure out what's wrong with it, I think, you know, you kids are smart, but you're not geniuses. But that's the bar that they set. So we really have three choices. We can fail to meet expectations, and that creates a dissatisfied guest. And dissatisfied guests can be dangerous in the age of social media, because not only are they not going to come back, but they may warn other people to stay away. And they have all sorts of platforms for doing that now and reaching a lot of people. So we can meet expectations, which creates a satisfied guest, and they tend to be passive. They might recommend us, but the review's probably going to be kind of lukewarm, mixed. They might come back, but not if a better deal comes along. So they're really not that much help for us in social media. What we really want to do is exceed expectations, because that creates a very satisfied guest, and that creates something that's very valuable to us in social media, an advocate who not only will come back, but will recommend our business, our destination, to other people. Now, this is an amazing opportunity to have all of you in one room from the same region, because when it comes to reputation, we're all very much interdependent. So your ability as a business to attract visitors, to attract customers, depends not only on your business's reputation, but on the reputation of the businesses around you, and on the reputation of the destination and the country as a whole. So when we're all together working on strengthening reputation, you're going to be stronger as individuals as well as the sum of your parts. And I'm going to share one last example. A while back, I wrote on my blog a story about Canada being named by Future Brand the world's most powerful brand. And I got a comment on that blog post that said, "It's such a great advantage to promote a brand that is already liked by many in the world. The opposite scenario could be devastating." And I thought, oh, what a sad little comment. Who wrote that? And I looked, and it's Roman from Destination Iran. And I thought, wow, you know, you guys think you have a hard time attracting people to Italy? Iran has a negative perception by so many people, particularly in the West. How would it be like to promote Iran? So I was curious about this guy, so I actually called him, and I went on his website, and I checked it out, and it's brilliant. So Destination Iran actually is not the official tourism bureau. He's just a little tour company, a one-man show. But he's got this great website, and first of all, he's got a little about page, a picture of this very smiling, friendly guy and who he is. Okay, so that, you know, provides confidence. And then he has this blog that talks about all these questions that you would have about traveling to Iran. So telecommunication, everybody wants to know, will my cell phone work in Iran? Because if it doesn't, I'm not going. Right? So yeah, of course they'll work. And then dress code. Women want to know, you know, if I come, do I have to wear a burqa? Or can I wear a bikini? Or do I have to wear a burkini? And he answers those questions. And then he's got, you can ask questions. So some guy said, is it safe for Americans to go to Iran? And he's like, yeah, it's safe. And this is what you got to do. And this is how you can do it. And so he's also done testimonials. So rather than him talking about it, all his customers post testimonials to reassure other travelers. And he's all over social media. He's got a Google Plus page, Twitter feed, and Facebook. And so bringing everybody together. So he's mastered social media. And he's helping to change negative perceptions and to spread the word that Iran is a country that's rich in culture and history, and that the people are very happy to welcome visitors. So if that little guy can do that for Iran, imagine what all of you can do for Italy, for driving awareness, guest satisfaction, and revenue. And that ties in beautifully with the theme, IT is you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. Now we have a little Q&A.
The Inquisition.
We have to prepare always the chair. Which one would you choose? You like this one? Huh?
Not the chairs from yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Sì, qua. And I invite on stage Emma Tavery, which is part of our staff this year of BTO, and RJ Freelander, which is from Review Pro and is a friend of BTO since a few years. I'm gonna fall down another time. Cadrò di nuovo sicuro prima della fine. Faccio anche l'altro ginocchio.
Talk it to me.
So thank you. Thank you, Daniel, for this very interesting presentation. As Giancarlo said, I'm part of this amazing BTO team, and I'm also a destination marketing manager, and I used to work for TripAdvisor in London, so I'm very familiar with the content you shared with us. And I would like to ask you some questions focusing on destination marketing and TripAdvisor. So my first question will be about TripAdvisor. What people usually ask me about how to cooperate with TripAdvisor, how to work with it, was how to climb rankings in a fast way, or how to cancel negative reviews. But what I think, actually, is that TripAdvisor could be a very interesting tool if you work well with it. So I think it's very interesting for hoteliers and for operators to understand what's the best way to work with it. So I would like to ask you, from your point of view, the best strategy from the inside for a hotelier to work with it in a daily way. And yeah, your suggestion about this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think TripAdvisor and reviews in general need to be integrated into daily operations and culture. And I having been a hotel general manager and worked virtually every position in hotels, I really understand what it's like to get reviews and get that raw feedback. And you know, sometimes people call me and say, oh yeah, I need you to fix my business's reputation.
Exactly.
And so I say, okay, I'll call you back. And I go online and I check out their reviews. And they're complaining about service and, you know, condition of the hotel rooms, et cetera. And I call them back and I say, you know, you need to fix your internal problems before you can, you know, I can't help you. And they'll say, sometimes they say things like, oh, no, I don't have time and I don't have the budget to fix those problems. I need you to fix my online reputation. And they're so interconnected. So when it comes to getting this raw feedback, I think we need to accept that we're open to criticism. Sometimes it's fair, sometimes it's not fair, but there's always something to learn. We need to show leadership. Listen to the feedback, learn what we can, move on, and share it with the staff. Don't protect it with the staff. If they're going to help you achieve where you want to go, they need to know how you're going to get there. And then the last part, I think, is training and empowering. So often you'll see on a review, people say things like, oh yeah, we had this problem and we brought it to the attention of the front desk, but they didn't do anything or they didn't care. And there's an opportunity to prevent a problem from escalating. So we need to train, empower, and recognize our staff for managing complaints on property and preventing them from escalating.
Thank you.
Sure. So actually, as a follow-on question about TripAdvisor, it's interesting because in virtually every market around the world, TripAdvisor is clearly, massive impact, one of the huge successes on the consumer internet. So the question I have is, if online reputation management and success for hoteliers, in the end, it's a big puzzle, right? And there's lots of different sources or channels. Booking is growing very fast. Google Plus is starting to grow. Clearly, in this puzzle, TripAdvisor's a key and critical part of the puzzle. But do you think that sometimes maybe hoteliers are focusing too much of their attention on TripAdvisor? Or do you think, if you could just talk a little bit about your view of beyond TripAdvisor and the importance to really be obsessed of having a great reputation across all channels?
Yeah, it's a good question. I do think a lot of hoteliers are completely obsessed with TripAdvisor. And that's good, because if you're going to pay attention to one review site, TripAdvisor is the one. It's just going to have massive amount of traffic. It keeps on growing, and it can make a huge difference to your business. But it's not the only site with reviews out there. I talked about online travel agencies, Expedia, Booking.com. They all have reviews. Travelers check them out before they make decisions. And Yelp is now, got a foothold in Europe. So you do need to have a comprehensive understanding of your reputation across review sites and OTAs. And sometimes people say to me, oh, well, we only get reviews on TripAdvisor. And I look and I realize, well, the reason you're only getting reviews on TripAdvisor is that's where you don't focus, and your competitors are getting a lot of reviews on these other areas because they're managing them.
Right. Now, it's interesting. We find that frequently that hotels, like you say, they're the first and foremost place you should be worried about is TripAdvisor. In many, many markets around the world, Bookings has significant, and oftentimes even more reviews than TripAdvisor. So Bookings. And then, as you said, today there's over 200 OTAs around the world. And if you look at the fastest growing segments, you've got Chinese travelers, you've got Russian travelers, you've got Brazilian travelers. So there's more and more fragmentation, right? So do you think, sort of with the importance to track your reputation, first and foremost in TripAdvisor and other places, and with hundreds of possibilities, oftentimes what we hear is hoteliers saying, you know what, we do that, but we do it manually. Do you think that's possible today, or do you have to have technology to help you understand where your reputation is, understand your competition?
Well, I think it depends on the size of your hotel and the volume of feedback that you get. I mean, if you're a B&B, you can probably do it on your own. But the more feedback you get, it's getting harder and harder to manage. And there are tools, as you know all too well, RJ, with the Review Pro, to really help you do it and help you score it. And as I mentioned, I think the next big phase is using these reviews to drive revenue and managing reviews with your revenue management. So yeah, I think there are tools to help, and we should take advantage of them.
Right. I remember, actually, you and I met here, what was it, 3 years ago?
2 years ago,
2 years ago. And I remember when we met, one of the conversations we had back then was Daniel was talking about online reputation management, which he clearly, with his past experience, is really one of the world experts in this. But you were talking to me a lot about guest satisfaction surveys and direct surveying of clients. And at that time, the world of online reputation management and guest satisfaction surveys, companies, Medallia, Market Metrics, et cetera, these worlds were sort of two sides of the same coin, but they were separate. And what you told me in that first conversation was, these are going to converge. These are going to have to be looked at together. Decisions are going to have to be made looking at data, analytics, not only of online reputation, but with your direct survey. and managing on an operational and service level with both in mind. Talk more about, you were the first person that really highlighted that trend to me, and how do you see where we are today, and how will that go forward?
Well, we're there now, right? We're managing them from all one platform. You can only manage so many different tools. It gets confusing. Yeah, and I remember telling you that, and you're like, no. And then today, here we are.
And once the reputation has been tracked on different platforms, what's the impact of social reputation and pricing? So what's the connection between these two worlds? How much does the social reputation impact pricing?
Well, as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, I think there are two types of social media: social networks like Facebook and Twitter, and review sites. And it's easy to draw a direct connection between reviews and revenue. Much harder with social media. And one of the reasons I think there's so much wasted time in social media is because it's really hard to track the results, so you don't know if what you're doing is making a difference or not. But we're getting better and better with tools that track and help you manage and measure not only just reviews, but social media performance as well.
Right, sure. One of the things that you're doing is, as you said, you're traveling around the world helping hotels and hotel groups, both small, medium, and large, better embrace the trends, the opportunities. And one of the things that, and you also talk about technology, and we're one, Trust You is another. There's a number of companies that are in our space. One of the things that we see, and I think this is happening across the board, is that for hotels, oftentimes the idea of implementing technology, it's really, the thought is, if we've got technology, now our life is easy, right? And that the hard part's deciding on signing up with the technology and implementing it. And what we're finding, it's actually the opposite. That's sort of more the starting point than the ending point. So things like training, support, education are really critical. And that really the most successful organizations, you talk about the library group, who's a client of ours, and Adele, they obsess about training, they obsess about the details. And so my question to you is, what would you recommend to hoteliers and the audience here about the need to have a plan for training, education, and ongoing sort of improvement that goes beyond just assigning a person and assigning a technology?
Yeah, well, I think if you want to do better in social media, run a better business. And I think that in North America, there's more training than I see in Europe. I see less training, and training's so important. When I first worked on a front desk, I didn't know anything. I didn't have any skills, and I didn't know how to deal with people, but I got amazing training and I learned. And so we need to invest in training, and often we buy these great tools in technology, but we don't provide the training to go with it, so the tools end up going unused or underutilized. That happens in reputation management and revenue management, etc. So I really do think that we need to invest more in training.
Okay. Right, so I would definitely agree, and there's a lot of ways to do that. Beyond training, are you seeing the need within organizations to make process changes? Like one of the trends that we've seen over the last couple of years is more and more hotels, even small individual hotels, setting specific goals for their global review index score, tying bonuses to these things. So there's training, which is critical, but what about from the corporate office in terms of changing processes, changing key performance indicators, these sort of changes that are also, do you see these as important for success?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, now that we can measure these things, they need to be integrated into operations. And so I know, many businesses are doing this, but reading those reviews out at meetings, posting them up on the bulletin board, showing what your performance is, what your score is, what your target is, and how you're going to get there, and really celebrating successes, whether that's through a bonus system and getting a cash reward, or a party to celebrate that you reached that target goal on TripAdvisor or on your GRI.
And last question will be about destination marketing and branding, because I'm involved with the destination marketing strategy in my area. So I found really interesting the comparison between a well-established brand like Canada and destination Iran, because I think that, as you said, it's very easy to work for a well-known brand and very difficult to change idea about a brand and a destination like Iran. I'm actually working on this campaign called Brindisi is my destination, and it's an area in southern Italy. You probably know about Brindisi just because you said you took, we were talking about that, you took a ferry from Brindisi to Greece, and it's not a tourist destination.
Right.
So what I wanted to ask you is about how to create a brand new destination and how public and private can work together, how the public field and the private, like operators and hoteliers, can work together to create a new feeling about a destination, a new strategy, something completely new, which is really, really different. And what's happening to me right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think, again, we all need to realize we're in this together, and we're very much interdependent of a destination. And so everybody needs to understand what's at stake, how to fix things. And I work with British Columbia. I live in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I work with the provincial government. And they were early on to recognize the importance of reputation management. We've actually developed a guide and 3-hour workshops where we go out into these tourism communities, and all the tourism stakeholders come and learn what reputation management is, what social media is, how to claim your TripAdvisor listing, why it's important, how to monitor, how to respond to reviews. And we've had fantastic turnout and feedback from the people that have that attended it. I've done like 40 of these workshops. And so again, that goes back to the regional investing in training so people understand what you're trying to accomplish as a destination and how to help you get there.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I'm the man who say that the time is over, but I need every one of you here with our... non andate via per un minuto prima di andare, perché dobbiamo fare un piccolo omaggio all'Italia e vorrei farlo prima di andare al lunch. Intanto ringrazio RJ, thank you for being here another time. Grazie Emma, grazie Daniel. Here for the picture, come here.